Unfortunately this year I've got nowhere to shoot the Cabin Fever Challenge with rimfire or centrefire. I don't think there was much of a chance anyway at a local range, but there's some changes going on and it's certainly a possibility, but I think really unlikely, but it'll probably have to wait till next year's Cabin Fever Challenge. Now, because it's unofficial, the target doesn't really matter, except that I like to keep things sort of like, I know you can say directly connected to the official rules, but they are sort of. This target here, as you can see, is different from last year's, if you care to have a look at that, which was based on the original target as used at, I think it was 50 metres. I used that one, reduced down in scale to suit the distance that I'm shooting from, which is going to be 6 yards. Hopefully one year maybe the organisers will take up this more basic and closer distance style of shooting with air rifle, because it allows a lot more people to have a go and have a go cheaply. Now, last year's target was just one target, and that was made, I think it was slightly big if I was honest, by about maybe 1/8 of an inch or something like that. It was reduced in scale from the original 100 metre target for the competition down to a scale based on the distance I'm shooting, which is 6 yards. But I had difficulty, even watching the video later on close up, seeing which pellet went through which hole and whether it actually clipped the target or not. So I may have actually scored a couple more last year than I actually did, but I just couldn't prove with the quality of my slow-mo if the pellets had actually clipped the target. So they was all going through pretty much, or many of them, through the same ragged hole, but I couldn't prove it whether they were clipping the target or not. So to get round that, this year I've produced this target, and it'll be one shot at each black dot. Each of these dots are based on the original 100 metre target, and it has been reduced in scale to match the 6 yards. This is slightly smaller than last year. As I said, last year was a little bit big, but fractions, just fractions really. This actually, once it's been printed out, has come out a fraction smaller. Each one of these dots is about 11 millimetres across, where I think it was about 11.3 millimetres, so it's actually a little bit harder if you like. But the idea is to make it easier to count the scores. So one shot at each roundel, 5 for each position. As for what we're using this year, I was going to do 3 and shoot some BSA Springers through the ages, if you will, from 1921 to about 15 years ago. Fairly modern, but not too expensive. However, I'm running out of time, so we're just going to shoot one, and that is my 1921 BSA Model L. She's a little worn in some respects. She's well used, but in decent enough condition, and is reasonably accurate up to about 15 yards. Well, this is our second attempt because I forgot to press record on the target camera. But as you can see, it's a 4 in total. And quite awkward because the little Model L tends to shoot low and right at any real practical distance. It's not a very powerful air rifle, and of course it is over 100 years old. So this is a good example actually. This pellet here, this hole, is just a fraction high and left to my aim point. I could drift, I think, the front sight over, but you know, for what it is, I'll just compensate for it. So let's have a look. That's a good one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 out of 20. That's not very good.